Kojiro Sasaki, humanity's greatest loser, and also the first human to win in Ragnarok. And yeah, Kojiro, he's a very, very unique character among the humans. I mean, all the humans are unique in the fighters, but he's very unique among them as he has a great personality, great techniques, and the theme of his fight of natural born talent versus hard work is just absolutely fantastic and beautifully done in his fight. This round, I'm just gonna say it. This round is a 9 out of 10. I would say even if you wanted to push it, it could be a 10 out of 10 for most people. I could easily say that, but yeah, this round solid 9 out of 10. Cannot get lower than that because again, this round is fantastic. And yeah, let's just dive right into this character, shall we? All right, we'll go in chronological order. So we first see Kojiro again, just just being very late again to his classes and all that. And Toda just kind of always berates him, saying why why you always late. You gotta take this serious. And Kojiro is just this very free spirit. Like he's like it's all right. I just do it on my own time. And I'll get it. But Toda just throws him a sword, and they spar for a bit, and Kojiro holds his own for a bit, up until he loses the sword. And he's like, I quit. So yeah, Kojiro, yeah, he's a huge quitter, but there's reasons for that because even though he does get braided a lot, he does have a reason for that. The reason he quits a lot because he wants to experience someone's fighting style, and that way he could analyze it. Then he could go off and mentally, train against them, and until he's able to beat them, he's like, all right, I don't ever have to fight that person again. I want to fight someone else that's stronger, and that's kind of his mindset ever since as he was a kid. And I love the scene we see at nature where he's just by himself hanging out. And he sees a rabbit, and he just kind of hops just chasing after until eventually he catches the rabbit, and he goes off to eat it. And then later on, he watches I believe it was a snake about to attack a frog. He's watching that, and as he's watching that, the snake attacks the frog, but then a sparrow or not sparrow, a hawk comes and grabs the snake, and Kojiro realizes, okay, so you got to take in other factors that you're not even considering, which is actually pretty good for Kojiro because he's a very, very, very smart guy when it comes to fighting. Then eventually, when he goes back to the dojo and Toda challenges him again, and Kojiro's like, "No, I don't want to fight again." But um, Toda immediately attacks, and Kojiro just turns around, and Toda essentially just sees himself dying. He sees himself dying. He's like, "All right, I surrender. I get it. You're the superior fighter." You can see the seriousness in Kojiro's eyes, and Kojiro's like, "I wasn't even fighting you in the first place." But then later on, he fights the main head honcho of the dojo. So again, to Toda, he fights. Well, he doesn't. Well, he. I would assume he does fight him and lose because we do see him fight other masters and he loses. He takes him on, and then later on, the old master that lost his sight eventually goes off to go visit Kojiro and says, it's been several months since you've been by, and Kojiro's like, oh yeah, it's taken me quite a while to take you on and beat you. And then the master comes into his house, and Kojiro makes him tea by just mixing water and leaves. Oh, I love this guy. And then the master goes in, filling all the walls. Because he could sense the aura of all the fighters that Kojiro fought and eventually beat in the simulation in his mind. And the master's like, Kojiro, I could help make you essentially get you your own dojo. Become like somewhat of a noble to help other noble families. Because Kojiro's just so gifted. And Kojiro's like, I appreciate the offer, but that's just not me. I'm actually gonna go off and just continue doing my own thing. And the master's like, okay, that's fair enough. And then Kojiro goes off, fights a lot of masters, and get beats by all of them. He gets to beat by everyone he fights, which is again very, very cool and interesting. Again, for a character like this. And then when he finally goes up against Musashi, Musashi, yeah, Kojiro versus Musashi. Kojiro, for the very first time when he fights Musashi, he's like, you know what? Even though I just want to surrender, I can't do that because I know I will regret this. So Musashi, and then he gets a scabbard and throws, and he's like, you know what? Let's just fight to our heart contents. And then Musashi's like, yeah, you know what? Let's fight until one of us dies. And they both just go at it, where Kojiro gives him the X scar over his eyes. And eventually Musashi just kills Kojiro. And Kojiro's like, you know what? The only regret is I couldn't do this longer. And he dies. And then when he comes to fight when when he first meets Berhilde. Well, not when he first meets her, but when he's first introduced in the story canonically. When he goes up, tells Berhilde, I'm the one up next to fight. She's like, and she's like, her and Gold are wondering like, why are you so old? You should have been brought back, your prime. And Kojiro's like, well, it took me many, many years to finally surpass Musashi, and when I finally did, I am this age. So you know what? This is actually my prime, which gives Berhilde a chance to like, okay, yeah, Kojiro's got this, and then Kojiro goes into the arena on a boat as he strolls up, and then we see Poseidon arriving, and yeah, Kojiro just imagines himself dying over a dozen times in even before the fight, even like before they actually clash. And Kojiro's just already sweating, and everyone's wondering like, what in the world's going on? And Kojiro's like, yeah, I can't see myself winning this one. As he just drops down and says, you know what? I'm not interested in dying. Then he tells Poseidon, please demonstrate your technique to me. Poseidon obviously doesn't oblige. He doesn't care. And Kojiro's like, I guess it wouldn't be that easy, but you know what? I want to give this a shot. And he does this very interesting technique where he goes in for a wide strike, strikes at Poseidon. Poseidon easily dodges, and Poseidon's going to go in for a strike. Then Kojiro doesn't even have the sword come all the way down. Before it hits the ground, Kojiro spins it and turns it up and almost slashes Poseidon, cutting Poseidon's hair. And that's when Poseidon's like, okay, yeah, this is okay. Then this is when Poseidon first ever meets anyone, actually, in a fight, eye to eye. Yeah, so Kojiro's like, yeah, so you finally met my gaze, oh god of the seas. And then that's when the fight starts happening, where Poseidon actually starts going the offensive and starts overwhelming Kojiro. Like, Kojiro honestly doesn't stand a chance for like 99% of this fight, as he easily just grazes Kojiro's side, like a not too bad, but he does graze the side. And I will say that is one of the factors where I have to take away from the storytelling of Kojiro versus Poseidon. That a slash like that probably should have hurted him a bit more. But again, it didn't seem to be that bad where his guts are spilling or he was just profusely spilling out. So I could like forgive it to an extent. And then of course Kojiro, does a few more attacks with Poseidon, where he actually swings at Poseidon. Poseidon turns or gets behind Kojiro, and Kojiro sees it coming. He gets the sword back grabs it, and he tries to hit Poseidon. But again, Poseidon just blitzes Kojiro like nothing. And when Kojiro turns around for another strike, Poseidon easily breaks Kojiro's sword. And then we get this a reaction of everyone thinking, okay, yeah, it's over. Poseidon just easily broke Kojiro's sword, and there's nothing else Kojiro could do. And I remember first reading this, I thought to myself, there's no way Kojiro's going to lose this, right? He's going to pick up the other blade and just go at it, which is a broken blade. But what the authors did here was actually absolutely brilliant. Of course, his Valkyrie Hurst, she has two personalities. She's like very, shy and meek, but the other one's just very aggressive and foul mouthed. And so this actually worked perfectly. That even Berhilde never took into account that when both of his swords broke, Kojiro gave this speech that eventually made him have two swords, which one each one represents a Hearst's personality, which again is very very great right there. Which is called "Forgive Me, Japan." Manho Shuzozo. I am so sorry, Japan. I'm positive I butchered that. But also, I just want to say my favorite part of Kojiro. My favorite part, I'll just say right now, is this part with Kojiro when his sword breaks and Poseidon's just looking over at Kojiro, and Kojiro's like, "Hey God, have you ever trained so hard that you lost track of time and you realize the sun has just came up, or have you ever cried of gratitude for all of those that have made you stronger, that have helped you come this far?" Then he says, "Oh, that's right. You never have done any of that." And I love that. That just speaks everything about Kojiro, about his hard work. He's very very talented, but that doesn't really help him out when he has no hard work to come with it. Because Kojiro is a prodigy when it comes to fighting, but again, he takes in, he quits because he just wants to spar with someone for a bit and then fall back and then analyze their tactics until he overcomes them and he fights someone else. Very great with Kojiro and Kojiro. Sorry about that. That's my dog Babas. just being a little jerk interrupting the video, and he just left. So yeah, then yeah, Kojiro again, very very great here, and this is when he actually starts turning the tides on Poseidon, where he actually starts grazing Poseidon, just getting him little cuts and nicks and cuts. But again, not very devastating to Poseidon. And Poseidon's like first time everyone's seeing Poseidon actually bleed. Everyone's like, oh shoot, you know. So Poseidon just gets the blood and just like smirks it over his hair. He gets a sinister smile and immediately just starts bolts, just cuts Kojiro's shoulder. And again, Kojiro's already back on the defensive. He can't do nothing as Poseidon unleashes 40-day flood and just starts overpowering Kojiro. And Kojiro just starts realizing, yeah, this is it for me. I came as far as I could and I just couldn't do it. But then as he's falling, as we get a mental image of him just falling, because he just thinks to himself, like, just when I think I've reached this guy, he just pushes me further and further down into the ocean. I just can't hit the bottom. And then we get an image of all his friends, you know, just pushing him up from the ocean. You know, the Kojiro just hearing all his friends, all of the people he's fought, you know, just supporting him as they're all just swinging the sword, just shouting for him. And Kojiro just gets so inspired by that. Just he immediately starts turning the tides on Poseidon, and he just unlocks this new technique where he's just able to just see so much, just see so far ahead of him that he could just predict like I think like 10,000 moves, which is insane. And Poseidon there is just continuously just barrage, attack, jab. But of course, this is nothing at this point to where he actually managed to get up to Poseidon as he's like, I finally reached you, oh god of the seas. The Poseidon goes in for a strike. Kojiro slices his arm off, and everyone in the stands is shocked by this. As Poseidon reaches out, grabs his arm, crushes the hand holding the what was left of the Poseidon, the trident. He goes in, Kojiro cuts it. Then we all know Poseidon grabs it with his mouth and goes in for an attack, and Kojiro just slices Poseidon down. And Poseidon just unbelievably just couldn't believe this, as his last words to Kojiro was, "You little fish," as he just flops and dies, and then everyone stands goes crazy. As Kojiro just says, you know, he's smiling and happy about this, like, you know what, guys, can you keep it down a little bit? This is my first victory after all. It's such good stuff there. And with Kojiro, you know, securing humanity's first victory again, done beautifully here. And then, of course, he falls back and Hearst, you know, catches him. We get a good moment between these two as we do see these two just hanging out with each other for a majority of the time later on. As the next time we actually see Kojiro is actually, you know, he's actually coming up to help out Buddha go fight the seven naked gods and well, Loki. I don't know why I almost forgot his name. And then Soji also comes up to help him out. And then, of course, it gets interrupted by Odin and Zeus. And then we see Kojiro leaving with Soji. So that's when, you know, Kojiro went with Soji to the room, you know, to watch the matches. And for the rest of the time, we just get dialogue between Soji and Kojiro and Kondo and Hearst, you know, just talking to each other about, you know, the matches they see and their dialogue and their input. I think the one we got like so much, a lot from was the fight between Hades and Shinji Hung. I believe that fight we get a lot of their dialogue with just them talking with each other, seeing how the fight's really going to go. And then another one we see. Well, before that, we do get when Hades starts whistling and Kojiro just kind of grabs his side because it starts throbbing. He's like, "Oh yeah, that whistle," because we all know that in Hades' backstory, he's the one that did that whistle, and Poseidon, you know, imitated that, which is very good for Poseidon's character development. Well, I guess for character characterization, I should say. And then after that, we get more of Kojiro watching, you know, the fight with Tesla. Then get him commenting on that. Then when we saw Tesla lost, we saw her kind of drop to her knees and Kojiro just kind of comforting her. Then the last time we see Kojiro is just him talking to Soji. Is like, oh, so when he talked to Soji, like when Soji says, you know, he wish he could go out like that. Kojiro's like, what do you mean? He says, I wish I could have gone out in the blaze of glory. And that's the last time we saw Kojiro in the manga so far. But of course, he's more likely in Soji's room just watching the fight. Unless he went back to his own room, which would be kind of cool to see how his room looked like. It'd probably be similar, right? Japanese culture. But yeah, it'd be very cool. But yeah, Kojiro, I already said it. You know, his round is 9 out of 10. His characterization is freaking great. 9 out of 10, fantastic. Again, just, you know, a bit of plot armor, I would say. Kojiro, you know, receiving, you know, a wound on his side and a wound on his side, you know, which, you know, it's pretty bad. But again, it wasn't as bad as it looked, I would assume. So again, So again, pretty good here. And I already gave my favorite moment with Kojiro is that speech he gave to Poseidon, being so grateful. I really love that. My least favorite moment with Kojiro. I mean, again, this is a hard one because there's really nothing really much you could dislike about this dude because this guy's freaking great. If I again, it's hard. If I had to pick one, I get man, it's hard. With Kojiro, like again, I'm struggling. I'm not just struggling here. I should have thought of this before I started. I hit record. But I guess hmm. Again, it's very very interesting. I can't think of one. If I had to guess, again, it's cheap, but him doubting that Shin Chi was actually going to beat Hades. That's it. I know I was cheating a bit, but I'm sticking to that. So anyway, let me know your guys' favorite and least favorite moments with Kojiro, if you could think of a least favorite one, right? So anyway, yeah, that concludes this video, and yeah, Kojiro, I really like this character, and yeah, he's fantastic. And Hearst, number one waifu Valkyrie. I'm saying it now. So anyway, you guys take care and have a good one. Later.